at every point of a man, there's always a point where you need to take a journey. There's always. Khona la, maybe in your story, uzothola ukuthi bazothuka wena uthi to yourself, endlini bafuna ngenze so. You said ukuthi ufela matric, right? I'm sure like your family was very upset. But khona lento le it's ayazi. That's the journey you took. And it happens to each and every man. I don't know about women. Yeah, but it happens to every man. And you must walk that. So mangabuhleli in a position where you don't want to be, don't think ukuthi that position where you are or the job that you're currently doing is the opposite of where you want to be. It is part of it. Uzumuntu bati begayi petrol attendant manje sekayi lawyer. Mongahlala nayo lo muntu lo phansi, you'll understand when you speak to them, you'll find ukuthi so many of the things that make them a success they actually learned from that part ukuthi bebe ay petrol attendant. It could be people skills, it could be the patience to listen to someone, it could be anything. So any position that you're in, it's not the opposite of where you want to be, it's part of it. And it is why you finally yenze as best as you could or as best as you can.
This one is strictly for the hustlers, entrepreneur and author.
Yeah.
Versus another entrepreneur and author. Best-selling authors. BANELE shapuzwa ngathi yakhe.
Ngiyabonga bro, njani?
Ngiyabonga mfethu.
Yes sir.
Finally we're doing this thing.
100%.
Yeah, we've been ringing about it for quite some time, and
yes.
Just the past couple of days I'm thinking like you popped up on my algorithm.
Yeah.
Go TikTok.
Yes sir.
And I'm like, I think feeling him again once. I like say, we'll call, we'll DM.
Yes.
I just wrote on your comments. I see and
yes, 100%.
Now I like the fact that you responded immediately. I reached this week once.
True. Can I tell you actually how that happened? How I got to be here?
Yeah.
So on TikTok, I'm getting in the span. You know, I'm just producing my own content. You liked it. So I started by following you when you came on. You came on really late, on TikTok.
Yeah.
So you liked it. You liked my content. So I was like,
I only came on now in 2022. Yeah.
Correct, yeah. So when you liked it, I was like, oh, so you see it. And then there was an event, say LSG.
Yeah.
And then it was going to be... So I see your name, Lapaya.
Bread for Soul, ne? Yeah.
Yes. So I see your name, Lapaya. I'm like, okay. So you're going to be there. And I don't party a lot. And then I went. So that proximity.
On Almark.
Ngiyakutshela.
Because you saw me on the lineup.
Yeah, I wanted to be on the show.
Yeah.
So man, I can't DM you okay if you don't follow show.
You can.
No, that's not how we approach
you wanted it to happen in its own
that's
way,
not how we approach things.
Yeah.
So mangiera I met you, so ngakubona unge. So I went straight to you. So now you made a connection.
Yeah.
Kutonale athi le ngibone
with TikTok.
Now he's here now.
Yeah.
That's when we exchanged
I'm
numbers.
the one who came to you.
No, I came to you.
Oh, you came to me, yeah. But I recognize you. Yes,
yes. I need to. So I was buying into the fact that you liked it. So which means uzongibona ngisport.
Yes.
So you make a connection.
Correct.
Yeah. So manje proximity fanele ngizilethe eduze ngichayise ngithole vele endaweni. Since then, it's exchange our number. And then I think months went on, and then we had another event, and then we were speaking together.
Because that first one was Mia Kalpa. It was the end of year, I don't know, end of year 2023 or end of year 2022.
Correct.
I was a headliner there. And shout out to Jose LSG and the team at Bread for Soul. And then the next event, we're speaking together at a hotel in Braamfontein, I think.
Sometime in June.
An entrepreneurs event, yeah.
Correct. So, Lapo, then I give you my book. Which you kolot,
akangibhadala.
Yeah, exactly.
350 or
325.
Yeah.
So I give you my book. Sesikhuluma ngani manje about the book. Yeah. So now I'm really familiar manje. So I want to out to okay, because I need to see a lot of people, so now we're really familiar. So then I continue doing the work. Only then ukuthi I can just wait from now on at that point for this call for you to actually make the call. To say mfethu uzwakala because I'm in your radar. And the reason why I'm telling you this ukuthi ngifuna ama-outing, ama-hustlers use that kind of formula. Ukuthi don't DM abantu and beg. I'm very against that, Praswood. I'm really against that. Don't DM abantu and beg. Iba strategic in how you approach. Maraqala ngespan eqala. Beg ispan phambili, ispan sakho sibone, unake ukuthi ubani obona ispan sakho, and then capitalize on that. Put yourself in the proximity of the people that you want to meet. In networking injalo. That's how I am actually here.
Joe. What a brilliant formula. And I support that.
100%.
Yeah, I did something similar at my Saturday radio show, Metro FM.
Yes.
It was a dance show, but for some reason I took an hour and I turned it into a feature called The Entrepreneur.
Yes.
And that's how I would call all these business giants. And that's 100%. How pretty much I got into business. Correct. Because I would call them there, profile them, and it's Metro. It's a big platform. As soon as they're out of there, they're getting calls from everyone. And me, I'm about positivity. 100%. So I'll never bring you to my platform to criticize you or make you look bad or dwell on controversy. So every time, they'll get good feedback. And every time, instead of me calling them, they'd either call me to their homes for lunch or for dinner. And that's how most of them started mentoring me. I started inviting them to my seminars.
Yes.
Some of them ended up contributing on some of the books that I've written.
Correct.
So that's how I sort of started growing my network in business.
100%. And the latest Wuda, I mean, Mopega, Mahroman and peers that you've worked with when myself, Abomond, Abo Fresh, when you take a look at the story of how they actually ended up at YFM and now how you ended up there, it's the same thing. Ukuthi kunalento ukuthi arrive ibada la izinto zenzeka khona.
Show up.
Yeah, ungameli ukuthi ngisend message ukuthi ngicela da. That's when things are going to happen.
It's different when you show up.
Exactly. Story sawo ma Greg Moloka, you know what I mean? Uzothola ukuthi vele mawusilandelela, uzothola ukuthi uzokutshela something weird ukuthi no, I was there or bengidlula and then bangibiza or something. But the main thing is to be there, to show up.
Usho kanjalo Innocent Masuku uBobo Baxtina.
Yes.
I interviewed him on one of the previous
episodes. Yes, I saw
episodes.
that. Yes.
He says na iPrazaki lesbaga actor nazo a theater.
Yeah.
Nase but in Positive Art Society.
Yes.
They started getting ama roles.
Yes.
Yena labantu labakade actor nabo sebangenile.
Correct.
Yena akangeni. Atha wagcina sekaya lapha eBhom. Kanti sekavele eBhom live.
Exactly. That's how we used to do it. I mean, I come from that generation, Prasbuda. I think we come from the same generation, Minanawa, where it was always about find abantu that are doing something is a dozen now. In fact, one of your episodes, I just forgot who the gentleman is. Lendo Tainche
Tulane Msweni.
Exactly. He was talking about. He was talking about he couldn't sleep for a week because a friend of his umtshela ukuthi bona lapha esikolweni sabo baya act or bayenza ama sketch enesigela saka basifuna wahamba endlini wabatshela ukuthi yena sekafuna ukuyobloma netime lakhe.
Yeah.
What was he doing? He was arriving at the event of his life. Wathi ngifuna ukuba da entweni. Yeah, but so we come from that generation ukuthi we don't send ukuthi mina ngubani ngicela in
and abantu abayigeleza tsomana
mfethu iyada. Wherever you feel ukuthi you want to be, avail yourself. Ibada. When you call me, literally less than 24 hours.
Yeah.
You understand? I had plans for days. And ngempela ngithi izizozwakala. I'll be here because I was waiting for this opportunity. Something else is falling apart when I'm here, but it's fine because to have this opportunity to speak to you and the fact that I actually listened to your radio show and I've been following your journey. You understand? I'm one of those people that when you think of your target market, right? I'm one of those where we come from that generation where Nabuti 9 to 5 100%. I was that youth fell. You go to sabangena, and that's exactly what I did. That's why I'm an entrepreneur today, because there was that time. We were realizing no man, khona ukushaya amanzi with a 9 to 5. It's all good and well because obviously it keeps the economy running. However, there is something oyifilayo as an individual sometimes oyizwayo ukuthi hayi man in 9 to 5 sharp mara there's something greater in me. Each and every one of the people that you've interviewed on your show, they've had those moments where they had to decide and agree with the message from the universe or uNkulunkulu or whatever entity that speaks to them that says, Bega, you need to do this thing. Each and every one of the people that you've interviewed. I mean, Tulani.
Yeah.
I was talking about ukufeyila kwakhe esigela in grade 12.
Yeah.
Failure matric.
Yeah.
But he stuck to this thing.
Failure Vegas too.
You see what I'm gonna fail? But Kona, there's this thing that's always leading us towards what it is that we're eventually doing.
And I ended up taking your entire day, by the way.
100%.
But we ended up having lunch with my old lady, Maralo, who's an icon in South Africa. I don't know if you've ever met her, but I'd like to believe as much as I took your entire day, it was worth it. We ended up having lunch with my old lady,
100%. Yeah, you can never tell. I think about how we plan these into it, right? But sometimes I think about a person like Ublekov. I'm sure he really wanted 20 years ago. He dreamt of he wanted to be a DJ, but he never imagined the clubs that he's currently in. It's impossible now itself. 10 years ago, I'm sure you did not see yourself in Yem or Fire. So you can imagine, isn't it, that are still coming, these gifts that are still coming for each and every one of us. The only thing is we must just show up for these things. I would have never met Uma Maralo. I would have never had lunch with her. Yeah, and I did not plan it. Understand, which is very interesting story.
Former presidents and all those beautiful stories.
Exactly.
And it's always nice to because sometimes our lives are so fast that we tend to be impatient. And most they speak differently. Fast, but they take time to speak. So
correct.
Yes. Be in the present moment and listen to this person, because there's a lot of gems that you'll pick up from Mtomdala, like a person like Ukoko, she's in her 70s.
And umuntu omdala, they are a living capsule. One of the questions on ours, I said to her, what does the country look like to you? Because I think she's 72, I think.
Right? Yeah, she said she's turning 73 on the 17th of July. Yeah.
Correct. So it means if Mina I'm 39, she's lived 30 years before Mina even existed. So which means when she looks at the country, she sees it in a 70-year span. Whereas Mina ngibona on a probably not even 40, it's like, I don't know, 30, because 10 bengaboni for 10 years. Yeah, so it's very important to actually ask these questions, like ubona kanjani umhlaba, and then you will never fully comprehend it, but it helps in terms of just nothing adjust ourselves, hopefully not we are lucky enough and fortunate enough to actually live the 30 more years. And seeing how you live now with this whole health, and now I'm living that, sure.
And big up,
no, keeping it local,
we're living it.
We have
we don't
to.
Just talk about it.
Yes, sir.
Uphuma Vaikas.
Mina ngiphuma eSoweto. I'm 100% born and specifically eShawela, right? And I grew up in a very loving community. Like, I really community that I'm actually starting to appreciate much. It was just normal. We are okay, things are happening, but you only realize it much when you look sort of back, and when you go back, good time, man. I know each and every timer that has ever been in one of these houses. I know each and every child. I know each and every woman. And I know the stories that obviously that I'm exposed to, but and then I had that sense of a community, so 100% Soweto born, and I represent Ikaslam as much as he has now in Yamambi Safari, you know. So that's where I was born, and namanje ngisalibhekile ikasi.
Bokeleza va.
Bengeleza eRashuma. Selokishini at the time bengeleza laphayana, it was one of the best schools. Beshama 100 ke laphayana besingadlali. It was a very strict school, like in the country village. Shama 100. Soweto High, young taught. So it was one of the best schools. It was new at the time, and Ngeleza Lapayana, I was part of the debate team. So I learned young taught because you had to practice, because nini so send students and you know, so funny your computer Lapayana, and so I had to sort of teach myself how to speak English, not just encwadi, but to sell. Kona le English yokuthengisa. I had to learn that, yabo. And over the past 20 years, Sbuda, I've then worked on, when I left Iskela high school. When I left high school, I went to I think I worked at a call center. Oh no, I went and did journalism for like a year, right? Overyt College at the time.
Oh, Randbeck.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sure.
And then but kahle mina bengifuna ukuyogeleza AAA bro.
I-AAA konje nayo belapha ngase Cregol, ne?
Same campus.
Yeah, same campus on your way to Randbeck. Yeah, sure.
So ngiyaplayela.
Sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So ngiyaplayela Sbuda. AAA. Ngiyaplayela AAA, I want to be a copywriter. Abangishaya isandla. Yabo. Bangishaya isandla. Why?
AAA was the school of advertising, guys, for those who don't come from Johannesburg.
Yeah. So bangishaya isandla lapha Sbuda, there's a test that they give you there before you get accepted. And then in the test, one of the questions, it says you need to write in the style of Ellen Edgar Poe or something, some kind of character or author, right? And mina mangicabanga ukuthi what I was passionate about, it was kind of who's Letamale Lese Nigeria. The author was in Nigeria. He wrote amazing books.
No. Okay.
Man, I feel so bad for. We don't have a.
Lopale, a capitalist nigga.
No, okay. No.
Chika Onyeka, not yet.
Not there. He wrote "No Longer It Is."
Okay.
Yeah. So if you know "No Longer It Is," that man. But he's a really, really big and respected, revered African author.
Yeah.
Just quickly check his name. We need to mention his name.
Yeah. Sure. In the meantime,
so now that was the man that I was reading.
Next to my brown bag somewhere.
Yeah. So he's an African author that I was reading. So manje maybe ngibuza la AAA ukuthi I must write in the style of that Ellen Edgar Poe or whoever. I did not know who this man is. Young tall.
Yeah.
So ngenzani manje ngifeyile ke la nkundlazi.
Yeah.
Yabo. So but I was upset. Sharp. Yeah, so I applied Lapayana, and one of the questions for entry is that I must write in the style of Ellen Edgar Poe. I don't know who that person is. Mina ngizithandela uChiwena Achebe. And then I saw a problem in the system. When I saw that question, ukuthi ngiphume kasi ngifuna ukuyoshaya advertising, and the criteria yokuthi ungene da does not resonate with my background, because nje just the author le abafunda ngibhale in the style of. So ngipampe, so next door there was Overyt College. So I'm like, okay, what's the next best thing to actually apply for? If I can't do copywriting, then it was journalism. And then I took journalism, studied for a year, and then I was paying you because it's a private school. Yeah. You know, I paying you. Yeah, kaphlungu. So obvious, I just a case uzoyenza na yabona, okay, phelile ke inyuku 1 year is enough, but in the 6 months, so ole lami ngitshela ukuthi amfethi mina I can only afford like 1 year. In the middle of my studies, right? So I get a job, right? So I ask I asked the lecturer uke mention ukuthi elinye BANELE has a advertising agency up the road. And then I took the opportunity to actually ask him, I wanted to do copywriting. Can you please connect me? Yes, I said, no, it's fine. So I went to the man. I arrived at the event of my life.
Yes.
I was there.
Yes.
So I asked, but he's never taken anyone under his wing, and he's just this temperamental person, right? So, but I was so insistent. Wagcina vuma angilahlela nyana nge-script. Angithola angilahlela nge-script, Tambo yenza le script. Ngihambe mina mangifike lokishini, I had a tape recorder. Ngi-recorded the thing. Kanti umuntu bekathi no, bhala i-script for this thing, for this product. Mina ngiya-recorder this thing, ngithatha impintshi yami laphayana senza ama-sound effects. Ngiyayithumela. Mangithumela the man is so impressed ukuthi I actually went on and actually recorded this thing. Here's the funny thing, ukuthi he was so impressed that he actually took this to the client. Client actually approved this thing. And then bangibuza ukuthi where do you think we should put this advert? At the time mina ngimamela YFM. I'm like, let's put it on YFM. Nah, yeah, sing use the advert yami on YFM. Yeah, dude. And then at the time, So that becomes that light ukuthi ayazi zingayenzeka izinto. But at the time ngiyabona ukuthi okay kuphela unyaka, and then immediately afterwards I went on to work a music at the time.
Music
skate. And at the time it was easy trying to
now my first CDs I bought them at no, there was also Look and Listen. Go here,
Look and Listen, music.
Opposite High Point. Yo, that was a reliable music warehouse.
Yes, and it actually came about music about corn.
Yes. Like somebody saw my city that time.
Strong. Hey, so I him loyal. Sing Spanish music. It's all good and well. And one time this lady gave me she's quitting. She's gonna leave. We are pure Spanish call center. Ngempela ngamlandela. It was easy to find a job that time. I think it was 2005ish, somewhere there. It was easy to find a job. Like Bono quit Spanish, Mara Wednesday years I would be hired, literally. Right? That's what we used to do. Being a Spanish call center. Among Spanish call center, I had one goal: to take myself to a AAA, which is what I did. So the money that I was earning, I took it to study copywriting, and then that progressed because now I'm studying copywriting, so I'm getting sort of better jobs, So I spent a lot of time in corporate, and luckily, cooperating in Spaneguyo, a large part of it was a black company, which taught me a different aspect to, because I did work with white companies, but also with black companies. And so kunalento le hustle in a black company. Sometimes it's negative, sometimes it's positive, but there's this thing yokuthi in fact we are on our own in any industry that you're in. We are on our own, which means you must put in your best work. Fedama systems, they're problematic because we're all learning, but we are on our own. So it's in your best interest to perform the best way that you can. So I learned that working in a black company and in a black corporate company. And then, but kunalento lena elibele itigimi.
What company was that?
I don't like to mention.
Oh, you don't like plugging?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No. I don't have to know they're nice.
Oh, okay.
They're nice. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Yeah. So, but the founder of that company, so I identify with him. And you know why in Shy Sport? Like I'm always wearing sport. Remember that advertisement PC one, where they took black people and Hawaiians into the white people. His name is Fistas. At the time he went by Fistas Musenkwame. I saw an interview one time on TV. I think it was Jeremy Meggs, if I'm not mistaken. But interview, I show the sport, and this is my first time on Monomuntu. Also to share the biggest, most legendary advert their country has ever known. And he looks like me. You understand, Uguti? You understand? Representation. But he's doing amazing. So as I sabe ukuba ipansula ever since. Yangithola ukuthi ungangena vele space samangam la, even though I was rejected via Ellen Edgar Poe or whatever. You understand? And that's what you're seeing now, because kahle mina I'm a marketer more than anything. Yangithola, I'm a marketer turned entrepreneur, and that's what I've been doing. And the representation, why do I look the way that I look? It's because they recognize, maybe it's Miss Bonamin, they see themselves. So I don't have to wear a suit effectively. Mangithi effectively ukuthi khuluma isingamla is useful. Ungakhulumi nje isingamla. Khuluma isingamla ukwazi ukuthengisa, which is a skill. You understand? So it's all of these influences that I've come to learn over the past 20 years, and above that, the past 10 years I've spent it chasing entrepreneurship. Right? I've been trying to leave like the 9 to 5, and I came up with something called We Are Coming for Everything.
Before we go to We Are Coming for Everything, when do you know? Because I'm sure they're at a 9 to 5, but when do you know what as in I've reached the roof, or maybe I want to branch into this thing? And also, how do you do it? Do you still keep on doing your 9 to 5? You started as a side hustle with your extra hours on my weekend, or how do you do it? Or how did you do it?
It's spiritual. You know how I think of it? I imagine someone like you. Imagine when right now, if you were working at a call center every day, you were going to a call center to actually work. Do you understand how agitated you would be? Mm-hmm. Imagine a Trevor Noah. Imagine a Lewis Hamilton asebenza in a cubicle. How do you think would he be agitated? So imagine if you're agitated where you are, then it means you shouldn't be there. Young tall. Gune agitation, kona lento zokutshela, and you can't be stopped. You cannot be stopped. No matter what you do, you sort of end up in the same. I don't think you can ever stop being a broadcaster, bro. I honestly don't think.
Yeah, no.
Even when umuntu now, like in person, the way you speak, the way you carry yourself on obo broadcasters, like it's in you.
Yeah.
So, umuva kanjani? Mina, honestly, I'm not gonna tell you what you have heard before. I'm gonna tell you you have to look into the spiritual aspect of your life, because khona lento lena efika kuwe every day sibu elibele ukutshela ukuthi yekela lento yenzayo uhambo yenza into so. We all have it. Masisikhuluma ivara, if yabona mongayehlisa kancane etshwaleni, uyehlise kancane egadeni, futhi ungazenza idizi. Just nje 1 month, just nje ukuthi ungabi dizi, kuzofika something, because the message is going to be clear. Yangithola izofika leyo nto le ilibele,
and now uzofile ukuthi asoyisikhathi.
Yeah, yangithola izokutshela ukuthi mfethu wena hambo yenza something so. This thing is not, the message is not exclusive to people who are religious. It's not exclusive to people who subscribe to African beliefs. It's for everyone, because sizalwa sinayo lento lena. Ukubheke, when you look back into your life, when you look back, you always bazokutshela ukuthi kahle kahle uSibu wayesona secrash. He was always the center of attention. He was always an entertainer or something like that. Yeah, so we forget that. I know it might sound esoteric, but ngempela, that's what I've come to believe, and that's what I've come to see. Young Tola problem. That's what I've come to see. Which this thing is spiritual. You understand? So I've made it a point to I learned there should be times, you with the fasting, there's a thing there about with your fasting. It's like there's a thing, because now when you have a reason to fast, every time you feel those hunger pangs, you think about the reason why you're fasting. So which means for 7 days or 30 days, you are consciously thinking about why you're fasting. You're constantly thinking about the reason why you want something or whatever it is that you want. Whereas if you are kaula and like you never get to think about it. You kumbula sometimes. So for anyone who is in a position where they feel they must move spiritually, is check this thing and it's not a special thing. Honestly, it's not. It's just give yourself space. I think it's talked about in the Bible where at some point you have to take a journey. At every point of a man, there's always a point where you need to take a journey. There's always. Maybe in your story, wena uthi to yourself, endlini bafuna ngenze so. You said ukuthi ufela matric, right? I'm sure like your family was very upset. But khona lento le itayazi ngiyaya la. That's the journey you took. And it happens to each and every man. I don't know about women. Yeah, but it happens to every man. Ukuthi khona la vele fana uthatha indlela yakho. Yangithola, and you must walk that. So mangabe uhleli in a position where you don't want to be, don't think ukuthi that position where you are or the job that you're currently doing is the opposite of where you want to be. It is part of it. Uzumuntu bathi bekayi petrol attendant manje sekayi lawyer. Mongahlala naye lo muntu lo phansi, you'll understand when you speak to them, you'll find ukuthi so many of the things that make them a success, they actually learned from that part ukuthi bebe ayi petrol attendant. It could be people skills, it could be the patience to listen to someone, it could be anything. So any position that you're in, it's not the opposite of where you want to be, it's part of it. And that's why you finally yenze as best as you could or as best as you can. Any position that you're in. So if you're in a position where you don't think what you should be, in actual case that's exactly where you should be. It's just a matter of you just need to spiritually ask, right? Because in the last 2 years, when I said I'm taking a business starting from 0 to 1 million, and we did aquaponics, cash. I asked for that thing, Spoon. There was a point. I asked for it. I was not a religious person at the time. And then I was like, Mdali, creator, whatever entity is creating, I want you to give me one idea that I'm going to take for the rest of my life. And in exchange, I will leave certain behaviors. I will sacrifice certain behaviors. And then mangiceda lapho ngathi wena uzongitshela ke universe uNkulunkulu create uzongitshela mas already mara mina manje ngiyahamba ngejimini. From now on I'm going to go to gym. And then ngempela that's what I did.
Ngiyabona isandla sakho ndoda. From the last time ngikubona. Nguthi le ndoda ngathi beseyishada manje.
Ngithi hayi mfethu ngenza ideal.
Okay, sure. It was intentional.
Let's deal with the creator. Wenza ideal ukuthi abheka. Ngifuna into so, and for that I will give this. So manje, why ngithi when you make that sacrifice, every time I get gyming, ngishithi ngikhumbula ukuthi why I'm going to gym. It wasn't for the body, right? It was the commitment, because it was something ebengayenzi before. But I know which obviously is beneficial in terms of mental and also physical, right?
Discipline,
ufunda izinto ezifana nento, consistency, ufunda lezo zinto lezo. And zenzela ukuthi lento lena ngempela mayifika on the university guy ingitole vele ngimnandi.
But you show up and stay ready.
Show up.
Bangat na but I still have to go and stay ready.
Show up. Sure. Yeah, ngithola. And so I made that deal, and then every time ngilibele ngejimini ngilibele ngithi yabona ngejimini. Okay, sure. I didn't ask for anything. Ngicela nje ngathi ngidaya idea why. Then after lapho ngilibele ngithi yabona ngejimini. Okay, yabona ngiyekele in. And then it came. There's a video on my social media profiles. It's pinned on Instagram and TikTok. I think it's one of the third video. It starts with a chair. You know, when I did that video, Parasmu, the idea literally came a few minutes before I did that video. When the idea came, you had to give me, and tell people that you're going to start a business and you're going to take it from 0 to 1 million in 24 hours, in 24 months. That's exactly what I did. I did not question it. I was like, you need to bring email and they never sneeze. But because I asked for it. And then but you walk in faith. And then I sat there. I asked. But that's what I said. Literally, that's what I said. You understand? And it's always the what that matters. See how
God takes care of it.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like the how, you know, that's why I mean how. As long as when you define the what it is that has to be done, the how is going to happen. Because you have to arrive at the event of your life, you have to be there, show up for that thing. So what I did, and then I said, guys, let's start a business, let's take it from 0 to 1 million, and let's do it within 24 months. Literally, Njoba Shaya le episode, 2 years, 24 months, expires tomorrow. 2 years, expire tomorrow. Njoba today, we 11. SARS, 2 years ago, I was sitting on a chair and I said, let's do this thing. That's what we did.
And that was 2020, beginning of 2023.
Yeah, that's exactly what we did. So, in the past year, we've surpassed the million with the campaign. We established an aquaponics farm, a Soweto. We've established a meat processing plant, a Kaya Sense. Right? That's what we've been doing in the last 2 years.
And I want us to get into the how part, but I don't like to having to disturb you when you were going to a point of
course.
I know I intervened in 95.
Yes.
When you jumped, when you made that leap, there's a program that you were telling me about. I forgot the name, you mentioned it.
When I made the leap.
Now Puma go 95 yako by entrepreneur man. You say it is what it something like that.
We are coming for everything.
Yeah, we are coming for everything. Fast forward.
Yes. So in 2014, somewhere there, okay, maybe let me tell you a bit about what excites me. What excites me and what makes me feel like in a purpose is one, when I see young people, specifically young black men, to be specific. I have a passion for Ama Out. When I see them defeat, isn't just finding unemployment, isn't just finding addiction. That's why I'm rooting for you, Nalentoenza, in terms of changing the lifestyle. I root for that. Because it's one of the ways that will help us learn consistency, discipline in terms of as Ama Out. Isn't just findable unemployment. So, or in drugs. So now, I started we coming for everything. At the time, now when you were doing your thing, you would that was the feel of the time, the temperature of the time, the environment at the time was saying so I've established this thing called We Are Coming for Everything, and at the time it was one of those big pages on social media. It was one of the biggest pages on social media. And
what were you guys doing?
We were celebrating and highlighting entrepreneurs and people who are doing what we were saying we should be doing.
Okay.
Yeah, so which is what you'd find now. Right now, just about every second page is promoting some entrepreneur. So, but at the time we did it when it wasn't that much cool, and so it gave us value. Like on social media at the time, it was as much as it was social, but it was very, very social. Unlike Manj, right? It was very social. You actually felt like you know the people, like the community. You felt really strongly about, whereas Manj is totally different. But that community put on and it unearthed a lot of entrepreneurs that are successful today because we launched them basaqala, and or put them on plug. I don't want to mention them, but yeah. So that happened, and we went on to work for 10 years, and then there was some scandal with some radio station, which you are very familiar with, where they used the campaign. Sure, umuntu ngabe manje uhleli phezu kwe 10 meter, but sakhawathwa yini because it wasn't trademarked. So I'd asked my partner to trademark, and something happened. We just got busy, and then it wasn't trademarked, and then we found out that radio station, that youth radio station was using it. It was a back and forth thing. So it's a loss. Basically,
so to speak,
angeke sisho kanjalo because kule platform lena it's legal but
awurenanga igama labo, so it's okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yabona, so vele so sinokwa kanjalo that thing, but manje like even the lady that was behind it, manje ngizabe ngisipana naye, ivili lajika mfethu nje fede silwile, but she's really best at what she does. So akuna permanent enemies in business and politics. Fed, let's do it because so
I always say when somebody chops an idea, there's more where that idea came from. But I always feel like there's more where that came from.
When I was a kid, in marketing, right? So I used to write for a biz community, right? I used to write some articles, and then this one gentleman won't identify or time fitang shangim email. One time, and I'd like you to come and do a brief. Ngishaye brief yakhona yabo. Ngishaye. Le khropman leli sengiyahamba manje uma le East in Betchmores what
ekuruleni kaSlam
sengishama presentation. I'm fresh out of school. So I suggest the person to be part of this campaign. I suggest the person to be part of this campaign. Sharp fed. Let's have my lenzani. Sholang half about my 350 or something like that. 350. Fed okay. One thing say KP ni tla ngiyabona le out learning is such a still on a billboard ubani le out uwe
mina
there's a campaign yakhona bokuyini it has to do with water, save water or something.
Joburg water campaign yakhona ama billboard emakhasi so
no the shade idea. I tell you Joe and you know what I came up with? I think I came up with ukuthi mogeza amazinyo you should close.
Yes. It was about saving water. I remember they sharing out here, but Mr. Baldwin, he was with Joburg Water at the time.
I need you know how clients work. There's a client and then there's an agency. Or agency suggests to clients and then when they execute. Initiate and
when you pitch the idea to the ad agency at the time.
Busy out. It's also shy this thing. Here's a brief. So ngayishaya ngayiyeka kwahamba isikhathi nawo ubrasbu use my billboard ngithi yo lathi lena vele ngihave 3 clip dala snoko mfethu dala but ukunokwa I think in as much as it's frustrating it is very frustrating ediyenzeka with a lot of entrepreneurs, right? Ungakhali kakhulu bro. That's what I can tell you. Because if you're capable of coming up with an idea, live in the world of abundance.
That should show you good man.
Kushukuthi vele. Ukunokwa vele kuzohlala khona. Ukuthi it's a matter of you learn. And as much as it's a painful lesson, uzonokwa because abanye abantu they don't live in abundance. Baphila with ngendlala leyo ukuthi they should magne piece of something bafuna ukuthatha yonke into, and in most cases we'd like to think ukuthi abantu banjalo they end up succeeding, but they don't, because that is not the right way to live, because you are constantly causing and forming our enemies.
You're imbalancing the universe.
You're imbalancing, and it's gonna stretch izobuye.
And I always say sometimes, as much as you can think unokiwe, not all of us is nokiwe.
Oh, yeah,
sometimes you must always think, this great idea that I've come up with, I'm not the only one.
You're not the only one, 100%.
Great minds think alike.
100%.
So you might end up thinking, and want to find a way you could maybe let on picture no.
100%.
Great minds think alike. You just did not execute. Because sometimes you stayed with the idea for too long.
And I mean, this is what I believe, which is what I talk about in my book. Ne? I talk about any idea that you have. Trust in a world of 8 billion people. A lot of people have similar ideas. It all boils down to execution. And then sometimes umuntu make the idea, they will not execute it exactly how you came up with it. So namso ngikhulumela nalezi ezinokha ukuthi mangabe uzonokha i-idea wazi ukuthi uyikha phezulu. You understand? Uyikha phezulu because lo muntu lona has spent probably months or years alibela cabangana na this thing. Mina ngukutshela manje idea when ufuna ukuyisha from you urane ngayo, you can't. Yangithola, because you don't have the inner DNA, workings of it. You understand? And also, when it comes to Gnoka, Abantu, they talk about young people are really worried sometimes when they want to pitch an idea. If I tell him what this idea is, he's going to take my idea. Look, Mamela, no one is sitting there waiting to steal your idea. And let me tell you the reasons why. It's because, number one, my ideas, it's an idea in your head. It makes sense in your head, which means it's not a physical thing. It doesn't exist. For it to exist, it needs energy, and in most cases, money and time. You understand? It needs energy, money, and time. So, which means umuntu, if they take when you suggest something to them, they will have to stop whatever it is that they're doing and invest energy, time, and money. And in most cases, your ideas are just not that good enough for people to actually invest their time and money. When you actually try it yourself, and it doesn't work. It's because it makes sense in your head. So don't be afraid thinking, or don't be paranoid thinking people are out there trying to steal your ideas. One, right? And then two, when you tell someone your idea, tell them the what, not the how. I want to start a restaurant that's going to serve a middle class black community in the township, and it's going to make it easy for them to access the items and food. And I believe that it's going to work because in the community that I'm looking at, there's X amount of middle class black people and they earn X amount of money, which means they have a disposable income of this much. And I've also asked them on socials, would they like to have a restaurant that sells X, Y, Z? I haven't told you how I'm going to do that. You don't know if I'm going to do it through an app. You don't know if I'm going to do it through email marketing. You don't know if I'm going to do it by going door to door. You don't know the how, but you know the what. The what is enough in most cases. So learn how to separate the what and the how.
Why did you write the book? And tell me about your book.
So I wrote the book, NOMA YINI. I'm so sorry that I couldn't bring it. So the book is called NOMA YINI, The Mentality You Need Before You Start Any Business. I wrote the book 5 years ago during COVID, which was, at the time, it was an idea that I've had for a long time. And I was writing a lot of status updates, right? And when COVID came, I saw an opportunity to go, here's time. What more are you asking for? Because what are you doing? So, and then I decided to write the book. The book is called NOMA YINI. And a lot of people think it is written in Zulu. No, it's not. It's actually written in English. But interestingly, it's written in a very relatable language. How we actually conversating. It's written in that way. And I chose to call it NOMA YINI, the mentality you need before you start any business, because I wanted to focus on the mental state of a business and not so much on the technicalities, right? So why that is because you have to fix the person, the mind of the person, before you can teach them how to do anything. And what's happening in Makas, Sidila, with a huge drug problem. Prasbu, you and I, we will probably not be the people that we were today if Inyaope was in the hood back when Tina is cool. We probably wouldn't. We are losing a lot of spoos and baneles right now. A lot of smart young kids, young men, abasindi ekasi, because this drug is ruthless. I found no utshalo ngasangena uphuma, right? Insango ngasangena uphuma. Of course, we're not advocating for people to do that, but that's the truth. Abantu bangena baphuma. But in Yaope, the chances yophuma bro are zero.
Assess, bro.
So I wanted to do what I'm passionate about, which is to teach business, but also highlight the scourge that we're dealing with in the townships right now. Because there's people abangazi ukuthi lentwana lezi, or these young men that are dealing with a drug problem, abazenzi. In our communities, when you are a drug user, bacabanga ukuthi usase ile drug user yama 80s, where it was because of lifestyle wangena entweni. No, it's not that. These young men bangena kuma drugs because of depression. Depression ebuya phi prasbuda, depression ama unemployment opportunities. You were hurt endlini, there's some traumas that you're dealing with. Ama khropman awekho. Mina mangikhula prasbuda ekhropman lami mandla hlatshwayo hlale next door, literally same Jarit basically. Around the corner uDr. Mageu, that's the community engikhula kuyo. So makuthiwa abantu sometimes bakhula babona drug and thugs. Mina it was the opposite. I saw inspirational people. Ngibona umuntu TV in fact. Generation on social media.
Rest in peace out here.
Yeah, rest in peace from my life. Even when he passed, the situation in which he passed saving someone. You know what I mean? That's the person that he was. Reflect like you're feeling power means. So I grew up in that environment, where abakhropmani ebengwabona abantu bebe spana mfethu ngithola ubona bomonde mangiya ku event umuzwe radioweni ngayi umbona live. So and next thing uringa nomandla, manje is like hayi na intwana yami ubanele that's maybe zigama lami like umonde wazigama, you know what I mean? So I grew up in that environment. In fact, there was one event that we actually met, I remember, and then you said to me, ne autism. We've actually had a lot of encounters,
Serious?
Come to think of it, yeah. Like it was Melrose Arch at the rooftop. Yeah, I even have a picture of it.
Screen,
yeah, but the final rugby. Yeah. So and then you said to me, Nama, I was like, yes, in my bit. I want to drive now, chap. I want to drive now, chap. Bahlanganise one day lapho umnandi bese ucima iredio uthi wena inkinga yami ile nale wena inkinga yami nale bese busela iredio ngiqhubeka. Weird now, come to think of it. But anyways,
yeah.
So I grew up in that environment where it's always been close proximity to people that are doing inspirational stuff.
Yes.
So now back to the book. I realized, Guti, what I was taught and what I was told by being close to Amakhropman, angisakwazi ukuyenza mina that thing. I can't be elokishini as much as I want. Masesiringivari, it's a safety issue also. Abantu bangangxeka mara masesiringivari khona abantu abanomona sibudo ungayenzanga nix. Ungachundanga for. I'm not saying ukuthi ngeke bakuthole anywhere, but I'm just saying ukuthi khona abantu ukuthi you are actually exposing yourself to much more harm by being in an environment where but we can access you. And so you azama to leave your access. So that's why I was told ukuthi Fede masoqala uhlanganisa izinto zakho ufuna ukumove la kwesinye space. Why you moving to different spaces? You meet different people. You understand? Khona abantu abenza izinto lapha amfethu unokuhlangana ne asithi usahlalisa bapha. It doesn't matter ukuthi you rent or in. I don't want to even get into that conversation. Mara what are the chances ukuthi uhlangane no Oskido? If ubloma ngadawo Oskido abloma ngakhona,
they're higher.
And uma ngahlangana naye vele ushaya irap yakho, vele ushaya inamba instant angakabuze tshela prasbu mina ngiyacula vele ushaya iculo. Change your life because you're living in proximity, which means you're showing up to the event of your life.
It is even in the Bible as well.
100%.
And a lot of ministers always minister about that, about leaving your territory, going into other places, like move from Ikas, like move from your province, move sometimes from your country.
Yeah,
it doesn't mean move forever, but just move and expose yourself to different spaces.
It was difficult to say that 10 years ago. Mind it's easier now you can say to move out of cars and everyone's like vele move out. But 10 years ago, if you said that, I'm just bored. So now I'm not in the hood. I'm not able to guide a young man. Njengoba nambe bengiguide because mina ngithi bengihlangana nayo so amahromano amangitshela izinto live so I can't. Yabo? What's the best way to do it? Incwadi. It's forever. It's there. You understand? It's there. So here's what I can give. I've written it down. And ubheke ukuthi vele thina history yethu ikhawathwa yini as black people, this oral tradition thing. Because whatever Umandla Nomahew and all other Khropmans that have taught me, it's only because bengisana nabo directly like this. I understand, or I was with them like this. But unfortunately, they did not write these things.
They did not pen it down.
They did not pen it down. So what I do is I ask nothing about pants.
The late great Credo Motrame, so rest in peace Ukhokho. Yes. That's what it says.
Correct.
African history has always been passed on from generation to the next orally. Yeah. 100%. And I guess you are correct. We need to. It's a good thing that we are now documenting.
We need to document,
and not only on books, like even these videos. Yeah. Because these are gonna exist forever.
Correct.
2070, so let's book
100%. So, incwadi sase yiyo leyo vehicle. Ngoba ezincwadi, a book, you'll never know where the book ends up. Because umuntu uyayithenga, the person who buys my book, in most cases, a lot of people will say, I need to buy your book again because. Someone saw it and it's like TikTok and it's good to steal books, like
it's information.
I want to know. I always root for that. It's like steal books, my man. So there's young people that really want to read the books, and it teaches how to navigate a business, but looking at it from a mental health perspective. Lento yokuthi grand is part of being success in business. Lento yokuthi yazi mawuthola chance ringa nabantu abanenyuko. Ngithola mawuthola chance ringa nabo mara not balandelela just uringe nabo abantu abanenyuko. Notice what happens when you are a black man ukhula ngendlala and then you land into money. This story has been repeating and repeating and repeating. You don't have to repeat it. We know what happens. You're still functioning from the premise of lack. So you want to gather all of the things. The self-esteem is still low. You want to wear my label and whatnot. Realize, Uguti, this is all part of mental health. Because at the end of the day, you're gonna end up in debt. Whereas had you addressed the mental aspects of you going into business, where you want to go into business, what if you tell you utoli tender manch or whatever, a big client, how are you going to approach that? How are you going to approach when you're being told by your family ukuthi you shouldn't go into business? You have no business going to business because thina la endlini sifuna ukudla manje wena ufuna business supportana nale dream yakho. How do you stay focused? Isn't this fun nokuthi when you are unemployed, ne, you actually have more time than umuntu that is working, and you will never fully appreciate you having time. Yes, ulambile, yes, I understand. Yes, you're frustrated, but there's so many things that you can do during that time where you actually had the time. Isn't this fun work out? It's free. Uga kitchen to run is free. When you have khona abantu that want to go to gym but they can't because fana phume ngo5 endlini, go to work aqala ngo8 abuye ngo7, and now they're dealing with being overweight and they can't do anything about it because their job does not allow for them to do that anyways. You can't, the time does not. The distance between,
you must provide.
The
gym is the
distance
last
between
thing
work,
in their mind.
No, they want to,
but
it's how it's set up. But when you're unemployed, there are benefits while you're still unemployed. That you can read it. You know, a lot of successful people, they always look back at the most harshest and baddest times, and then they always reveal something about that time. Always. That's probably when I read the most books in my life, because izinto zizochange and isikhathi sizohamba, that's guaranteed. But what are you doing during that time? You can work out, right? You can work out. You can eat better. What we think ukudla fresh is actually terrible food. What we call ukudla nice is actually terrible food. What we call ukudla wenhlupheko is actually brilliant food. Like umuntu angaso amanje athi idli spinach nekhabishi man. So unamali. In fact, those are the best things that you can eat. So the PR around. You understand? So back to Uguti, the book talks about all of these other things that are available for you that you can do before you start a business. Mentally, where you should be. You understand? Where you should be and how to. It gives you perspective of how to see the world before you start a business, because there's going to be so many attacks and challenges that are coming through, and they're not just going to be technical. There are going to be a lot more of them are actually emotional and mental. Here are my challenges that I talk about there.
How did you grow your TikTok, and how did you use that platform to get your brand out there and to sell as many books as you have? Because you're self-published, right?
I self-publish because each and every cent that the book makes comes directly to me in besides the printing cost and also the transportation costs, right? And manje, I believe Ugutin, for me to write a book and have it self-published, I'm a person who believes in work first. Work and show the work, and then you can dictate the terms. So by the time a book shop approaches me and say, we want your book, I can dictate the terms. Because I can say, hey dog, I've been doing this thing. It's like selling in the boot of a car. They were selling in the boot of the car, they were doing it there. By the time a record company comes, they dictate, it's either we as joiner or as because we're doing it anyway. So in each and everything that I've been doing, I've done that, right? Yeah. So when it comes to the self-publishing, that's where we are. That's where I am, right? What was the question? Sorry.
No, and how you've been able to use TikTok to get your brand out there, and how you're able to also use it to sell the book. But obviously, there's many other social media platforms that you're on. But I think the most effective one, and the one that I got introduced to you on, is TikTok. And considering that it's the fastest growing platform right now globally.
So TikTok. I started doing when I started with TikTok. I was very self-conscious because I grew up a big guy, you know. So you're very self-conscious about yourself.
Serious? Okay.
Strong. So much. I was very self-conscious. So I've always stood in my way. You know, I've always stood in my way.
So
Yeah, and when I went to therapy this year, I started therapy, and some of the things, and I realized ukuthi mangenza into angening a shot, ngiyazibhrika. So I'm not hitting my full potential because of like how you view yourself and whatnot. That's why therapy is important. That's why I'm because I've fixed and I see myself differently. Even though we're living span against this, but mentally I did not know which there were underlying issues in terms of how I perceive myself.
Generational trauma,
No, it's not generational. I think it was personal. Which feel as a big, you understand. And here's the thing: only Lami will win that, right? She was an orphan, so ukule alakanga kaul iskathini spa. So what? How she expresses love, feed. You understand? Right mo kaul. So which means, so now. Because manje, so kunzima manje too. I understand.
Yeah.
I feel it. So now it became. That's why gym and health became like a thing for me. Which as in, I need to stay in gym. Yeah, bo? So now how I grew in TikTok. The reason why I'm telling you this is because when you look at the TikTok, when I was doing the videos, they were very sketchy. Like I was. They were very, very cringe. That's what we say now. They're very cringe. They're in the dark because I didn't like the light. The light was too much. I feel like you see me too much. And imposter syndrome. So, but as I grew to become confident in just doing these videos, we're just talking. So in my mind, I thought about how people like you in radio, when you do radio, you don't see a whole crowd. You always think, right? So now I imagined that I'm always talking to a person between the ages of 18 and 35, but the core is 25. So which means every time when I talk to a 25-year-old. So that's why my content resonates with abantu abano 25. But mangilibele ngikhule libelele iyachinja nayo because now I'm not talking to intane 18. I don't connect with them. So now it's between 25 and 40. You understand? So there's always marketing in the things that I do. So I come from a marketing background. So that's why I also believe, this word entrepreneurship, it hides a lot of information about people. We look at people and say, he's an entrepreneur. But if you actually peel back, you'll find they are a profession at something. Some people are accountants. They are professional accountants. Some people are engineers. So education is very important in entrepreneurship. It's just that when we slap entrepreneurship, it hides lo muntu lona is actually a profession or professional in something. You understand? So now how I grew up is because of understanding how marketing works. So there's always the recent video that I did, like literally is all. It's like on 500 now. It's 400,000 views right now. And it's about basically a wrap-up of what we've been doing with the aquaponics thing. But how I tell the story, right, is what makes it work. Because it's the story that people care about the story. People really care about the story. It's the story of the founder. It's like, you don't understand? Sometimes sometimes like chica, sometimes flopper, but story. At the end of the day, it's the story that really you understand. So I understand the importance of storytelling, and I understand the objective of making a sale in that storytelling. Why am I able to do this? Because I've invested a lot of years in marketing and in understanding and learning. Because education too, there's the formal one, where we are a school in Ivele, you pay the fees, and then there's the go get in what leadership 2020, leadership 2020.
Yeah, leadership 2020.
Getting what get hustlers, listen to Hustlers Corner. That's also self-education, because I get down and you go get scared. But this is education when you listen to these things. So that's self-education. Bangati, you are not qualified. You are not qualified, which is true, because you don't get a degree for listening to podcasts and writing down notes. But however, the information that you get out of here, that is education, and it can make you a professional. And it's because njoba ukutshela lama call center la ngihambile lawo ngicile graduate ngangithola ngicile graduate at AAA after lapho, which is something that I never really talk about. And this year I'm actually intending on going to a Gibbs Business School, right? So nginalento ukuthi nginobupantsula sure, but when it comes to education, I respect it. When it comes to understanding how the world works, I respect it. You must be articulate. You must learn how my brands work if you intend on working with brands. You must understand how corporate works. Because fede noma ngifuna ukushova isport, angeke ushove singer yenze something. It can be for the vibes. For the fact ukuthi when you liked my thing, you liked my post, and then when I came to you, wabona sport that ngiyakhumbula this is marketing, my man. Angihlobisanga this thing. I'm ingraining this thing. Shoot you can even see me on a silhouette, because on the book, right? Yeah. On the book it's the silhouette of me in a sport. Yeah. Sport. So which means I've made it a silhouette. So it's a branding exercise. This thing. When I walk to gym on Saturdays, I walk to gym. I don't drive, so I walk to gym, and then when they cross, it could be a truck driver. Why? Because how many people wear green floral sport disease on everything that they do? But iyasebenza this thing. Isespanini. Njoba ngishaye uThepho kanje ngisespanini. Iyasipana this thing, because umntanga ngithi uyabona ukuthi ngiyamphakamisela. So one day nami mangithi mfethu azinginengi idea bro wami. Lakafe.
Khona into ringa ngayo ukuthi we fall into the trap of, and we're still on that concept of using social media or the digital media to get ourselves out there or to build a brand.
Yes, sir.
You speak about don't sell all the time.
Aye,
give. Don't
sell.
And then sell.
Yeah.
Give. Maybe 5 to 7 times. And then go on, sell.
Okay, Pega, let me tell you something.
So unpack that for me.
Yeah, let me tell you something interesting. So now the campaign, right? So in the last 2 years, we built a campaign called 0 to a Million. And in that campaign, the intention was to work with an online community to come up with an idea. I didn't know at the time what the idea was. To come up with an idea so that we can build a business as a community, because I feel we have passed the stage where we are celebrating individual entrepreneurs.
Yes, you spoke about that as well.
That was good in 2014-ish, 2015-ish, when people were rising, but a lot of people are going through so much mental anguish because of doing things alone. Just for you to start, like maybe let's say a clothing brand, it could take you 10 to 15 years when it shouldn't take you 10 to 15 years. If you have a community and then you have a mechanism that can fund this business of yours, and you take the risk and put yourself at the forefront of saying, I'm going to make sure that this thing succeeds. You understand? Funegi plug. Namanje funegi plug. Right? So we created this idea. It's going to be aquaponics. What is aquaponics? We are growing fish in the middle of the township, in a backyard. We are farming fish, freshwater fish. It's tilapia and it's catfish. That's what we're doing. Now, I said I wanted to show what I say in my book works. Like I said, what is the best way to show that a book works? Is to do what the book says. That's what I did. I literally implemented things that I talk about in the book. I gave it time. I said 24 months. I gave it an amount. I said it's 1 million. And I put myself out there, and then I gathered a community. And when you say when I say when you sell, don't sell. Right? When you sell, don't sell. I sent out a video of saying we're gonna do the campaign. I said, me and my friends have decided to come together and put money together, and then we are going to fund the business. I posted a video and said, that's what me and my friends are doing. What is the natural reaction of a person who's interested in that? I didn't, not even one time did I say, please join in the Stokvel. I've never asked anyone to join. I said, this is what I'm doing, this is who I'm doing it with, and this is how you can join us. 500 people came through and became part of our Stokvel. Young Todd, I never said wozani because abantu don't want to be sold to. There's so many messages that you come across on a daily basis. I mean, there's a logo here. This is selling. There's a logo in front of us. There's labels. This is all selling. Everything is selling. Abantu, the exhaustive is selling. So now the best way to sell something is to, number one, is to lead the charge. Do the thing. You understand? That's when we get excited. Okay, so if you are putting yourself at the front to go to the Uyayens, then it's fine. We can join you. So that's how we went and built a Stokvel, right? So what is the importance of a Stokvel, which is the same thing, Nani, that you're doing with a property? It's like we're coming together, we're breaking the system in a way.
Crowdfunding.
Yeah, we are cheating the system.
It's not even cheating. That's how it's supposed to be. Doing it together, we get there quicker than walking it alone.
Correct. So that's why the cheating of the system is not, it's sort of designed. Because sometimes I think about if basing another concept of Stokvel, what would have happened? What would have happened? Like, so many things would have never been achieved. Okay, but at some point those things were very helpful in the communities. But man, just the new era of the Stokvel Brasswood. We need Stokvel that are creating vehicles of business and generating income. We do not want to manage when there is Stokvel that should be gap builder, or get save, and then at the end of the year, they are cut off. And you know what happens when people are saving money, for example, and these big chains, they take that money, they put it into their banks, it earns interest. So these people that are they're actually eating interest. You understand? But our people don't understand it. But manje, there's an awakening. Why? Because you're doing it with a property. I'm doing it with the aquaponics. And why am I even choosing aquaponics? It's like, with aquaponics, there is a real challenge of healthy food, especially when it comes to meat. Right? When we talk of meat in the townships, my city, that is not nutritious. It's not nutritious because it's not even muscle, that thing. It's not muscle, it's not cartilage. I don't know the name or was it, but it's not nutritious. So yes, we are sheba, but it's not nutritionally beneficial. And Tina hlezi simangela ukuthi usibamani wagula washona. But uvela wagula nyana washona, or masufika uma 40 50 so yagula, and we've made it a norm. Ugula is normal. No, it's not. You can live until 80. It's a matter of udlan. So now, when you look at the food that we used to eat, and is actually a reject food, right? Sorry to say, but it's actually a reject food, and then we made do with it, and then we called it African cuisine. Come on. That's not African cuisine. Should be skip whatever makes people. No, that's not. Those are delicacies. You understand? And if fish, our African countries in the north buy the fresh fish. It's a source of so many beneficial nutritious. It has a lot of nutritional value in it. If you look at the situation, man, a lot of people are buying cheap meat because I'm rejecting, ne? and then they buy the cheap meat, but no. What if you can actually access high quality meat, but as cheap as Amarijex, which is fish? You can, absolutely you can. That's what we're talking about. So that's why let's do aquaponics, but most importantly, let's do it in the township. Why in the township? Is because then it means the route from just to for it to get to in one of those retailers, it's literally a short distance. It's a very short distance, unlike when it moves from a farm. So you kula ngapha and then sithengisa ngapha. It makes sense, right? And this is meat. It's not like a cow. A cow farm is way, and we have a lot of buildings that are empty now. There's an opportunity to actually convert those buildings into vertical farming places. I was thinking about the movie venue, like a cinema, which a lot of cinemas right now, cinema is basically dying, right? What are they going to do with all the space? Can we farm in there? Probably can, because something has to happen within there. We can't make it as babies like a skating rink or like a go-kart thing, all of them. But at some point we're probably gonna say, "Hi, man, let's farm in there," because when you connect in solar outside, and then you have efficient lighting inside, then you can grow anything,
whatever.
Yeah, and then you can take the whatever that you just grew, which could be crops, it could be fish. You literally take it to a Pick and Pay corner in the same mall.
And cinemas are in almost every hood.
In
the whole country.
Yeah, so there's so much space that could be used for farming. And it must have a reduction of emissions. It contributes 100%. We're talking about employment in the township. We're talking about people being empowered. We're talking about the health, because abantu they put a pressure on the public system, the public health system, and that is costing the country. So there's always like these knock-on effects that we do not actually sort of grasp, because they're not explained. How is government having such a hard time, right, to address some of these things? And in so many ways, a major source of our health issues, they boil down to food. Just food.
Health is wealth, ne?
Health is wealth. Yeah, because yazi moyicabanga prasibudi ukuthi ungahlala manje una 100 meter no, mara kuzosizana ukuthi kunzima ukusukuma mara ihleli 100 meter. Ulento ubhore anamabhillion. Steve Jobs, yeah, passed on with billions. Yeah, they couldn't help those ones. Yeah, so health is indeed wealth. So that's what he says also in that powerful speech before Azopore in one of the institutions. Writing. Yeah. Health. Yeah.
I did something really interesting. This concept of give. I've always done it, man, obviously, but I don't communicate it a lot.
Yeah.
Just now, festive season for summer. Doing a MOFA selling challenge, raising money to give it away. Indirectly markets the brand, because that campaign, we did that throughout the festive season from November or so.
Yes. Obviously,
since I brand for many years, over 10 years.
Yes, sir.
But the MOFA selling challenge and some viral videos, and also collaborating with some TikTokers with a big following.
Yes.
And just giving and showing people how to sell, encouraging people, inspiring people, being in the streets, being on the ground, connecting with the audience.
Yes.
Indirectly markets the brand. And
100%.
we find that this past December we've sold the most trucks of MOFA we've ever sold since the business has ever existed. And I'm not saying it's just because only of that campaign.
Yes.
But it also had a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
Because you're indirectly marketing the brand.
Yeah.
But you're selling in the street, you're teaching people to sell, you're creating excitement, you're activating while you're raising money for charity that you're going to give away. But indirectly,
100%.
you are selling.
100%.
So those types of concepts are also beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, as you are saying, sell but don't sell.
Sell but don't sell. Yeah.
I love
and
that.
And with looking at how you've been consistent in terms of marketing, ne? Why do you keep on trying to sell this thing? Maybe let me ask you, right?
Yeah.
You've had the blessing in your life to right?
Sure.
I know it's cool in my mind because it's not right to talk about now.
Sure.
But there was times where you showed. But there was time where you showed with the Porsche, with the hammer, right? At that time, you are still but why are you still hustling? That's what I want to ask. And there's a reason why I'm asking, because it's not for my benefit, it's for the people. When does it stop? The hustle. Because someone can say, no, but you have a lot of money already. So, which is what I've also raised myself. You know, I'm like, but Prasbuda, it seems in disingenuous. Or which is, we know you've been operating, you've been working for the past 10, 20 years. Right? And but you still say, let's hustle. Ngapa, there's portfolios of property, but you're still saying let's hustle. Are you not being disingenuous and saying no, let's hustle, whereas was umnandi? What's the story? Yeah,
I think the first thing that one of my mentors once said is nobody arrives.
Yes,
nobody arrives, and meaning if in your mind you feel you're already enough.
Yeah.
And that's fine. There's people who feel they're enough. Maybe they've made enough money. They can retire.
Yeah.
But those type of people also grow into other things.
Yeah.
Maybe they go through a spiritual journey and maybe they start sharing that spiritual journey with the world. Maybe it's no longer about business and about making money.
Yeah.
But they still grow in other facets of life. And maybe they want to now teach or share that knowledge that they're going through. There's a couple of them more in the spotlight that you can speak about.
Okay.
But also there's others. Like people can say Patrice has got a lot of money, but it's
Why
still
does
working.
it still work? Yeah.
You know, and for other people it's a calling, for other people it's a passion, but for other people it's educational.
Yeah.
You know? So a lot of the things that I do are educational. I don't necessarily just go on the screen and say, we are teaching you this, we are teaching you that.
Yeah.
Those who grab the jewels and the gems, they do.
Yeah.
But those who can't, they probably will later.
Yeah.
You know, they always say, as you know, when the student is ready, a teacher will always appear. So sometimes they might see it as as entertainment content.
Yeah.
Or maybe the post on social media as entertainment content, but it covers a lot of things. It's educational, it teaches, it inspires, it markets what I do. Indirectly, it keeps my work relevant out there.
Yeah.
But it's also what I love, and also now I'm growing. You know, now being Ibamba, for that time being Ibamba, being into I was in my 20s. And everybody has to go through that journey, you know. We call it a journey of new money. You know, new money you must. And
we've been there.
The finer things in life, go taste them.
Yeah.
You know, go date people. Go date the hottest girls, the models.
Yeah, true.
You know, obviously responsibly so though.
Yes, of course,
experience all of that, travel the world. Follow your sports stars or whatever, you know, sport that you're passionate about. Go overseas, go watch it on the highest level. If you love music, go watch the biggest festivals.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And as you grow, now what you'll see, I was one of those people obviously who was blessed very early.
Of course, yeah, very early.
Not good to capella fast, but it's like, okay, then what? That's how Mara still
sharp.
then what? Then you get to understand the journey of purpose. It's about purpose.
100%.
So purpose is much more important than profits.
Correct.
So people before profits.
Yeah.
And people is what makes you want to go better yourself
100%.
in understanding who you really are.
Yes.
So that you're able to be an asset to your community as opposed to just be that person who's achieved your dreams and you know you're in some quiet neighborhood somewhere in a gated estate and you're enjoying your nice life or you're overseas and that's good and your children are fine, they're all in the best schools, but what then are you giving back to the community? So even in business, people grow. People have done other industries. People want to grow into other industries. People start. I follow the concept of Robert Kiyosaki. He talks about the SB concept, where you are 4-block quadrant. Some of you guys would know that quadrant. ESBI.
Yes,
E, you're an employee. The
yeah.
S, you're self-employed. In your business, whatever it might be. And then the B is when you move your self-employment, passion, or whatever business it is, you're professionalizing it into a now proper business.
A business,
big
business. So you can operate without being there.
Yeah,
okay, but you're still leading
but the S needs you to be there, right?
Yeah.
Because
you're self-employed, you're there.
Created
you're the
job for yourself. Yeah. But then the B, it can operate without you being there.
Yes, sir.
And then now you move to the I quadrant. That's where I am in Amanje.
Which is
where you're being an investor.
Okay.
So now you've created a cash flow business.
Yeah, other people are creating things.
Yeah, systems and processes.
Yeah.
And then you can be able to eject yourself from there.
Yes.
And then the cash flow that this brings over to the table, then where do you invest it?
100%.
So then you become an investor. So then you choose, what do we do? Do we gonna go invest in entrepreneurs, small businesses?
Yeah.
Am I gonna invest it in property?
Yes.
Am I gonna invest it in like your campaign right now, your initiative?
Yeah.
Am I in, young understand?
Correct.
So where one now is moving towards that I quadrant. And when you're in that I quadrant and you feel good, okay, now my investments are really going well. My ultimate goal is to give all that money back.
Okay, that's what drives your passion, and no one can argue that, obviously, because it gives you that by Bizan, like that fulfillment, young Ton, and
purpose.
Purpose.
So I ran an education foundation for many years, and at some point I ended up feeling like I'm a glorified beggar. Want people to come on board, and that's fine. But at some point I kind of felt, no, man, I need to go and build something that is self-sustainable, so that I give, and this is my passion, to give back.
Correct.
And I give without having to go ask and always ask us mpempe ya lapisa.
I feel good. A lot of people are putting themselves in a position where they are begging too much. I hate begging, Spo. I hate begging. I hate begging on a personal note. I hate begging on a grand scale. I hate begging, right? I am the kind of person who would say, the first question that I ask is, how can I get it?
Help you.
How can I get it? Whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then messing it to go when I approach you. Angeke ngifike kuwe ngithi kuwe ngicela ukuza ku podcast. Kuphi incwadi. Go read the book uzosho now ukuthi I man, you must come. Yeah, I understand. But if you ask for something from anyone, you say to them, you look at what it is that you can add value, and then you propose to give it to them in exchange for something. When you approach umuntu anywhere, any industry, when you send that message, say to them, prasbunya kubona ukuthi ushaya I podcast. And mina, I am a professional audio what. And when I listen to your sound, it's missing some things. And I'll tell you what those things are. It is Q1, QB, what, right? And try them and tell me what you think. Something. When it's natural for a person who, when they get a gift, they feel a sense of now they owe you. It's natural. We're talking billions of years. I don't care about your opinion. It is natural. Once you give someone a gift, they have that thing that's lingering. Something. So this kid, when he comes back to you, well, there's a difference. So now you have just validated he knows what he's talking about. In your mind, not even it. In your mind, you're like, oh, this kid helped me. This is another thing that you can do, but don't worry, I can show you. How to do it. Are you gonna say no?
Of course not.
Of course not. Fuck on. Make a figure bambe vele ngisomvara. Ngazwakala yimari inkinga yami yini ukuthi I might not have inyuku yokugibela. So when ngangibhekela ngenyuku yokugibela ngizozwakala every weekend. What are you gonna say? you're not feeling like you're giving anything to you. You're feeling like you're getting yourself something, and you're making it easy for you to access this thing, right? And then you start giving it. Ayenza. Go profile like 18. Mina ngispana no Sbuda. He takes that name. He goes to another person and say, mina ngiproducer raku Sbuda. Ngakwenzela izinto ezo so. Abuye athi Sbuda ngicela ungibhalele i-recommendation la ukuthi vele mina ngiyenze lento so. You do a recommendation. He gets a better job there. He grows. He did not ask anything. He put work in front. So that's what I do. I put work in front of everything that I do. The campaign that we just did is work. When I say I have a book, I'm not gonna put it in front. Hey, what's the thing is? I'm like, look, I'm gonna show you which this book works. Here it is. You understand? And now we're going into because like I said, which the 2 years is done now. Right, tomorrow the 2 years is done with aquaponics. We have a functional business, Ekaya Sense. We are supplying meat to big companies, and that's how we are able to reach the target 10 million. Now we're going to focus on actually selling our aquaponics, our tilapia fish in the market. Right, that's what we're going to focus on. And then really when aprasbu unama MP200 and wenza izinto emalokishini ma distribution uyabona, so nathi nje nge distribution whatever, we'll never know what's going to happen, but things are always moving, yabo. So now I've asked people ukuthi what is it that they want next. But they want a footwear brand.
A footwear brand.
But a footwear brand.
A footwear brand, yes. I'm a dig,
Yeah.
Yababuza, that's beautiful. That's the best strategy because people feel that's part what they want. And it's theirs.
Correct.
And it's them that decide.
It's them.
So you don't decide for them.
I don't decide for them.
I get you, okay?
So I asked them, okay, now 2 years is running, so what's going to happen? But Bafuna, a footwear brand. And obviously, let me make an example. Uguti, yabona in Nando's. Do you think Uguti Nando's sells chicken?
Good question. I know McDonald's doesn't sell burgers. They're in the real estate business. Nando's, I would assume they're selling chicken.
They're selling spice.
Oh, they're selling spices and sauces.
Because if you want chicken, you can go to chicken or whatever.
You can get the chicken from anywhere else.
Yeah, but you want that one.
Yeah.
That is soft or, So, I'm going into this thing with a footwear brand, but it's not going to be Amategi. I'm not going to reveal what it is, but it's going to, the product is going to be footwear, but the business is not footwear. Same thing with a Red Bull. The product is the can, but the business is like the entertainment, sports entertainment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, as we were saying,
there's always
McDonald's,
something.
not burgers, real estate.
Yeah, there's always a
Uber
twist to everything.
Cars, technology,
exactly. So now with the footwear brand, we're going to come into the market because there is definitely a gap and there's a hanger. People want to be part of the story of a footwear in South Africa that is successful, and they want to be part of it. They want to say, Ntogelami. Hence, we're crowdfunding it again. Let's share in the success of this thing. And if you have, let's say for example, for argument's sake, you have 500 members that are part of this crowdfund. Every edition before anything is already bought by the very members, because I need to find about guy. So we know, which I definitely 500 has to go, right? But that's just some of the things that are going to be happening. But that's what they want, and that's what I'm going to give them. So for the next 2 years again, we're going to go in, but it's going to look like it's a footwear brand, but it's going to be far from a footwear brand. It's just going to be the product, the commerce of it is going to be the footwear. But there's so much that's going to be done around Yona. And we're calling it squad. Why are we calling it squad? Because in squad, everything is about the group. I'm telling you, from the corporate level, the people that we chose to work with in terms of professionally, right? Must don't say accountant, must don't say people that are in academia and they want to see this thing as a case study. My spot dons are these things like, okay, come, let's work together. Let's build something. But it's really not about, it could have been any business. I mean, fish, I mean, come on. NOMA YINI, literally. It could be anything. NOMA YINI. But it's really about the principle. It's really about the principle. It's really about what is being created and how it's being created. Young Todd, I like what you're doing with the property thing. It's a new way of people to gain independence and access to a business. And I would like to see more businesses being established by Abantu. And the biggest challenge that people have been going through, it's not the first time we're trying to do things as a group, but the challenges have always been governance, transparency, professionalism into these things. But if you have a stokvel, already you afford a professional accountant, already you afford a professional anything to do whatever it is for your business to do. And do you know ukuthi abantu abafana nabo Mark Zuckerberg, abo Bando, Amazon, abo Jeff Bezos, they don't own 100% of Facebook or Amazon. They own just a bit, like 7%, 14%.
Adrian Gore only owns 7% of Discovery now.
His
partners nabo BlackRock. His partners nabo all the nabo Royal Bafokeng. His partners, but he started the actual thing. But he's a billionaire.
Correct. Keepana mashes kungcono ukuba ne
7% of
7%, 100 million, than 7% of zero. Exactly. So Tina, what we've done with how we structure the business, we've made it possible I want to have the access to they own part of it. They earn dividends from this thing, but they don't have to worry about the running of it because we hire our professionals to do that. You understand? Which is what the taxi industry did eventually. I think maybe in the Santiago, I'm not sure, where they started hiring very professionals. It stopped from being Ubabu Kumalo or Bambi Nwad, but they hired an accountant. They hired an advertising agency and whatnot. So Tina, with the Stokvel as people, that's what Stokvel are enabling us to do, because we're able to put these little monies together, but we hire professionals that we want to see. You understand? So I have a vision of what I'm a Stokvel. This is what I want to do. I have a vision which I'm a Stokvel can build our businesses. You understand? I have a vision which they can build, but what needs to be done? What needs to be done right now is I need to do it. I need to show it first. That's the best way to do it.
BANELE REWO.
Yes.
Part 1, Part 2 is coming.
Yeah, so it dawns.
And I'm able to see you know.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, beginning of the year.
Yeah.
I think I'm looking forward to Part 2.
Yes.
There's so many things we need to keep on uncovering.
Unpack,
and just keep on growing. But I'm glad for the first time at least. We've broken the ice and had our first episode.
100%.
For now, your last words to the audience.
My last words.
The Ofentse.
The main one. Which one?
Oh, that one. Oh, the one in the middle. That's one.
This one.
Okay, sure.
Okay. I've dedicated myself to building a whole website. And the website corner is called BANELE.co.za, where you will find resources on business. You will find my updates on what I'm up to, especially also with families that are dealing with people that are affected by drugs, to actually understand what is happening. Because when it comes to drugs, one thing that you need to understand is people are affected by the person. Right, the people around the person that is on drugs, they're the ones that go through a lot of stress now. So the website gives the information on that. It teaches the business, and you can also follow on my socials where I've built this campaign 0 to million in 24 months, and you'll also see how to actually join this new one that we're starting, which is going to be a footwear brand called Squad, where everyone gets to share in the success. So my last words is your contribution to the communities and to the country. You will never understand it, bro. You will never understand it. And it's one of those things, Maktiwa, what you did with your record label, what you did with that record label, Brahmi, is amazing. What you're doing to young people when you get on the mic is amazing. It's immeasurable, your contribution to society. You understand? And can I say fucked up? Well, I've already said it.
And I'm
fucked up. Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, boy.
BR BANELE REWO.
Yes, sir.
Part 1 done. Part 2 coming. I took his whole day. You know?
I think my before ring.
Nice one. We love you so much, guys. We'll see you on the next video. Danko.
And cut.